Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Brothers and sisters, my fellow brothers and sisters, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. What up? What up? What up? Yeah, y'all probably washing dishes. Supposed to wash them last night. We supposed to let the dishes sit overnight. I do. Last night, for some reason I did. But anyway, I was sitting here listening to South Africa, the Ivory Coast, where they pulled a rebellion against the government of the land. I was just sitting here listening to some of the actors of the so-called rebellion, which is really, a rebellion. These people are fighting for justice. I'm not going to call it a coup because it's not a coup. When you fight for justice, you know what I'm saying? And then I listened to the brother. And the beginning of his story was he prayed to God, asked God, if you give me the power to do this, I'm going to do it. And I know I have the power because they didn't have the money or the weapon. So you got to figure. Yes. No, you don't have to figure. I'm just going to tell you because a lot of y'all don't believe no way. You say you believe, but then you go doing everything to try and prove yourself by following the world. Oh, I got my credit, I got my job. God didn't give you them jobs. God told you to come out from the world and anything that's of it. Oh, he didn't say go get a job. No, he didn't tell you go get no job. He told you to rule and have dominion over everything he created. What the hell a job got to do with that? Back to what I was saying. Africa. To see and witness what's going on is a beautiful thing. I'm not caught up on the politics. I don't care what they think or got to say. I'm paying attention to the prophecy, the times, and then look at Africa. Africa is where the children of God rest. So it's on, and if there's a God, and according to Deuteronomy 30, he's gonna, once the people that were scattered, the descendants of those scattered, which was in Africa. That's why you see all this action. You're seeing everything popping off in Africa. Why? Because we're chosen people. The Bible speaks about it. And as long as the Bible's speaking about it, I'm talking about it. I don't care what puppets and talking heads and puppets on these news channels talking about. I don't care. But yet, I'm going to speak the truth. I'm not going to lie. I was just listening to the South African over in the Ivory Coast that led that mission. Everything about his mission, he included God. And it was for the sake of justice. So I'm like, okay, Africa, I'm with it. I support that. That's what's up. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, we talk a lot, but we lose because we turn around and try and go through their means to try and accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish when you got to be separate from it. You can't be scared. You're going to have to stand on your own. You can't rely on America. You ain't going to be able to do nothing that's connected with them. No, nothing. You're going to have to shut all that off. They ain't doing nothing but spoiling us. Because as soon as you get ready to do something, it's, people, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. You should just get a job, or some of us result to hustle. Oh, well, I just hustle a little bit. I know, because I used to think the same thing. If I just result to what I used to do, that'll help me, subside the tide of losing. And once I get up, I'll just walk away. No, once you plant that seed, you're going to receive the harvest, the reward of that seed. You think you prospering, but Family, that's not going to prosper. I'll tell you the truth from somebody who was out there. So now what do? Got to let all that go. You got to get back in the word, repent, renew your mind. You need to get some knowledge, biblical knowledge, how God's law works, so you can understand, so you'll know who you are and know how to move in truth, family. It's not a religion. Once a week, we go to church, put on this show like, oh, I just love God so much. Every day, I'm thinking about his people. No, you got to do something, brothers and sisters, to show him that shows that you separate from the world. And it can't just be for your kinfolk. It got to be for folk you don't even know. Like, what purpose does it serve if you just loving on people you know? You ain't doing nothing no different from anybody else. But if you set apart and you follow the Most High, as Christ told you, if you did it for the least of them, strangers, not nobody you know, you did it for the least of them, you did it for me. And that's what we're rolling with, family. That's what it is. South Africa, period. I'm excited about Africa. I love what's going on in Africa because that empowers us to see that and to, especially in this day and time that we in, this awakening, and you see your brothers and sisters over there taking control, you know the Most High is with you. The Most High is with us, family. It's our time. If it ever was a time to stand up and to break free, it's right now. I don't care who you are, but in particular, those you know who you are. I don't gotta go through that. We know what's been happening. Now is the time of reckoning. I used to listen to my brother over in Nigeria, and he used to always say that. Now that it's your awakening, Israel and Judah, they don't want you to walk in that. They want to tell you, like I hear the brothers and sisters talking about how people challenging them because they speaking about we're the true descendants of the Hebrew Israelites. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't get caught up in that, family. I turn up on them. They try to turn up in the spirit. When they tell me I ain't, I go hard. So they'll know. No, that one is sincere. But that connects us. And that ought to lift your spirit to see Africa doing what they do. Go and listen to that general. You would support them. I promise you would. They fighting for justice. And you can't tell me you don't understand how you got a colonizer in there running everything, controlling. They tired. You can't knock them. I like they hard. They got dedication. They stand determined. And they disciplined about it. Where everybody talking about, oh, they don't have the military to do this. They don't have the military to do that. They are the military. They don't need all that shit. And people just took that country. They sent all that military in there. And I'm quite sure some of their supporters and backers helped. Oh no, we can't let that happen. If that happened, we lose control. You know they did. But the Most High allowed it to happen for a reason. Them nations are not, they are inherently corrupt. These leaders, not the people, but these false leaders. Because why? They choose to follow the world in the world systems. They're not banking what they're doing based on what God said. No, they're not. Now, Ibrahim, yeah. Them cats over there, yes, they are. They doing the work of God for his people. Just like the South African, the Ivory Coast, brother just mentioned. It's for God's people to get justice for what we're doing. Not about violence, killing nobody, They didn't even kill that president. They just made him an offer he couldn't refuse. He knew he wasn't right. He know he ain't right. Don't nobody care about what America's talking about. Don't nobody care about what Europe talking about or any other dissenters. They're saying, oh, why are they doing that? So they can get your ass out their way. It only makes sense. Now I'm going to talk about it in the raw. Africa's doing what they're doing to get your ass out their way. They doing what they have to do. What should have been done. Get their ass out your way, Africa. And it ain't nothing personal because all they have to do is stay out of their business. They ain't African. They are not leading Africa. They don't have no business there. Get your ass out of there, period. And those that look like us, that's playing them games, talking about democracy and politics and all that shit only works for the people who created it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Stand on God's law. You know what I'm saying? It works universally for everybody. Don't come telling me about no politics and all that bullshit. Them crooks. I can't tell you, all your churches, all them people crooks. Don't tell me nothing about them. I see God's people activated. Let's talk about that. These are God's people. And they letting you know. And it ain't looking, and it don't look like no church. We the assembly. We ain't no church. When you get to going to getting in all that, then you know you connected with the world. That's what the world do. That ain't what the kingdom do. God made you a ruler in the kingdom. So what are you doing following anybody? That's where the problem come in, because when you follow philosophies and ideologies, all that crap they bring to you is based on world system. It ain't based on no godly system. Stop playing a system of justice, real justice. And that's the only way you're gonna get real justice. It's through God's system. Through his laws. His law means instruction. I don't know why y'all get caught up on that. If I buy anything, it comes with instructions to show me how to put it together and operate it. Same thing with the natural law. It works in everything. So there's no way around it. Why people be saying that, that's why you have a unruly ass world. Unlawful ass people. You know what I'm saying? Ungodly. They don't keep God's law. But they quick to tell you some shit about man's law, like that carry weight. That shit don't carry no weight, family. Stop playing. Tell the truth. Excuse my French, but tell the truth and shame the devil. God's law is greater. And if you're not standing on his law, you can forget about it. Your country might run for a minute, but then we see the tricks they do. We see how they cook the books and hide things. It's like people with these hood homes, bought these hood homes. Well, when the Trump party came in, they looked at the books. That's what Dozier was doing, looking at the books. And we see the people that hold, they just, what they do, push the debt back. That's not how you solve the debt. Why don't American politicians promote to do like African leaders doing now? Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria, they put the tools in the people's hands, took control of the land, put it under the government, and then start allowing the people to own and control. Burkina Bay people is the one who buying up all the land. That's what I was saying yesterday. Right now, you got to get up with Dr. Eric Khan, because they got the information on how you can invest. You can get a group of us. We can use our 20s and 30s and $50. Group invest. And we can buy us a mine. You know what I'm saying? Hire people to go in there and dig out the mines. You know what I'm saying? Hire the people of the land to provide the work or go in business with them. Partnership. And then, you know, if you invested 9 times out of 10, shit, I know I am. I'm going over there for a while so I can see how it operates. My lady steady asked me, what you say about your African for? I told you already. We woke. It's time to rise. That's why I'm looking at Africa. So as they rise, so as we rise, they gonna rise. We God's people. It's time. That's based on biblical law. Yeah, your preacher tell you, oh, they making up stuff. They don't know the Bible. That's cool. Let them say what he will. I don't have no problem with them saying that. That don't faze me. That don't mean nothing to me. You can say all that, but that's how I'm rolling. You know, with the Most High. That supersedes all this crap people telling you. That's whose law we want to bring into this earth. Not religion, none of that. All that stuff leads to the government. That do not lead you to God's freedom and riches in the Most High. As the word declares. I ain't talking about no money. Freedom. No. I'm talking about free from rogue, fake actors that want to rule over you. There's only one ruler, that's the Most High. And until you get that, you're going to have a problem. Until we get that, we got a problem, Houston. We got a problem. They keep following. They'll read the book. Then they'll go and follow the instruction of an outsider that don't got nothing to do with the Most High. Make it make sense. That's why you don't see the fulfillment of his word. If you take his word and I go and ask Mr. Charlie for a job, his word is, where is his word at? It's not even an equation. His word is not even in that equation. So we got to be mindful. And be careful. Because I will not be mocked. And the enemy will bless you too. You think it's a blessing and you wonder why stuff don't last. You wind up with 10 G's. You done won all these millions from the lottery. Why am I broke? They make the blessings of the Most High. That's why. You went by the means of the world. You didn't depend on the Most High or believe what he told you. That's like me, even with them cars. Yeah, do something where you can serve the people. Okay, yeah, the Most High will allow you to get the knowledge. Yes, he will. But what are you using it for? You're using it for kingdom purposes. Or you trying to keep up with the world because you trying to keep up with their playbook and lockstep with them. They fired me. You know what I'm saying? Which is good. And the Most High hired me. Now I done made myself unhireable. I don't need them. I got the will, the determination and dedication. I don't need them. That was a waste of time. Now I'm about to get out of here. It's about 18 minutes. It's time to rizzo. But that was a waste of time. We woke now. We don't need that. Now it's time to overcome. You see Africa rising, you know the time. I tell you like my Nigerian brother told us. When you see Africa rising, you know the time. Look up, because your redemption draweth nigh. Most High is going to raise them. Your ancestors over there of Judah and Israel, don't get it twisted. These cats over here ain't going to tell you. I'm like for years. I remember when we first started, around 12 and 13. You had a lot of African brothers and sisters stepping out, learning, taking heed and learning. And they realized, but you had us over here saying, oh no, them Africans, woody, woody, woo. Ain't nobody looking at DNA. You going off what a man telling you. Like, are you serious? The Most High determines your pedigree, which is your nationality, through the house of your father. Do your DNA, it's going to come back to somebody that's connected to the soil. And we know of a surety. And with that, man, I'm all hopeful. President missing. Ivory Coast President Quattro. What happened? I just watched the brother. I'm so glad. Captain Ibrahim Traore and Julius Malema fearlessly do what's against his will. Must. Donald's nightmare. Man, Africa not listening to none of y'all. That's the problem. Y'all keep fucking with Africa. And they done sent 700 commandos over there for Burkina Faso. Like, he's supposed to. China launches drone mothership. What? China's drone mothership, the game changer that could defend Burkina Faso. I got your back. Look at China. China stepped up and gave them a drone launcher, a mother machine, the mothership, the game changer that could defend Burkina Faso. I watch this all day and every night. Their military capability now, Burkina Faso is in a position to defend Africa itself. Yes. I love that. North Korea, Russia, I don't have nothing against them. I'm looking at their spirit and how they there to help their neighbors, which they have always been there. But you listen to the news channels, they won't tell you like it's some conspiracy against America. The conspiracy is people woke. You hear Trump steady talking about, oh no, we gotta get rid of the woke. But you want people to sleep so you can just rule over them and tell them anything? That don't even make sense, Mr. President. Come on now. You want your people to be aware, wise, knowledgeable. You know? What they supposed to do, just sit back and wait for y'all to tell them what to do? Yeah, you'll love that. That game is over. And now that y'all see Africa, bruhs, sisters, you know the time. Kim Jong-un protecting him because he a real nigga. That's why. He want us. Remember when Dennis Rodman used to go over there? Why are they hanging over there in North Korea? Woody, woody, woo. They didn't want us over there, right? But mighty strange, America never sent nothing over there to threaten them. While they was talking about, oh, they got nuclear missiles. They over there testing them. America didn't take their ass over there messing with them because they got nuclear capabilities. If you don't have the capabilities, it's like Europe and America will try to push, they'll run to America to try to pressure you. Oh, we're back in America. We have to cut you off for woody, woody, woo. Well, y'all don't control shit no more. The cat is out the bag. People are awake. People woke. People are challenging the status quo, which is only natural. You're supposed to. That's how we know it's of God, because it's standing. If it had not have been of God, all these people, even with the people asking, well, why y'all talking about y'all the Hebrews? Who else is it? It ain't them over there. Who else calling on God all day and night? Who else is the book describing? It's got other people in there, but look, Asian American regret now listen to black people after Trump has done this. Yeah, y'all hard-headed. It is what everybody laughed at China for buying tons of plants in the desert. 10 years later, we already know. Y'all the ones don't listen. What they telling you Africa can't do is a lie. Because all Africa has to do is go over there and turn that dirt over, plant their seeds, and run water out there. They can run water tunnels. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Run water tunnels. No, China is going to rise. Ain't no failed ambition. They done turned that desert into food. Yeah, y'all keep listening to them. Like they talking about, oh, Africa don't know. Africa was planting us. When they took us out of there, they went to the Grain Coast and everywhere. Wow. Walmart closed 3 suburban stores. Walmart shuts down facilities in U.S. over Trump's tariffs. Can Trump stop the flow? I'm not even concerned about it. I'm watching Africa awakening. And that's what's happening. Because everything we need is right there in Africa. Message to black Americans. Ibrahim Traore sent a powerful message to black Americans. That's what I've been telling y'all. Come home. Go home. Go get you some land. Go get the equipment. And go and make Africa great. And in the process, you'll be making yourself great. Us two coming together. Stop playing. We'll light the world up. Look what Africa doing. They ain't blowing nobody up and taking nobody land, dropping bombs on them because they choose to decide to do business with who they decide to do business with. No, they ain't asking America and them for shit no more. They going to put the things in place. Now that's what I'm about. That's why I love that. That's why I'll keep watching it and keep making videos and talking about it. And soon you're gonna see me on the African continent. I bet you that. Live on TV, Quattara steps down. Quattara resigns after intense pressure from new military leader. Smart man, we keep including K3 men, FBI task force are all in black community. I keep telling people they are in the hood watching everything. They know you woke. But when you look at it in retrospect, you know these people is wicked. They doing just like Africa. They putting things as they go at Africa. Oh, they waking up. Put to implement this, implement that. And why we keep following them, I don't get it. But I just watched that. Fair use copyright, fair use copyright. That man hit the front line. He came out.
On several occasions, stated at the time of the adoption of the Constitution of the Third Republic in 2016 that I did not wish to run for another presidential term. Consequently, I would like to solemnly announce to you that I have decided not to be a candidate in the presidential election.
It was just after 6 p.m. when every screen in Côte d'Ivoire went dark. No music, no signal, just silence.
So here is the president. And he's telling you he's stepping down, getting out of the way. Because of military pressure, is what they say, intense pressure from new military. I just listened to the military leader. The military leader, his first words were, we want to establish a system of justice for the people. This is God's doing. We don't have the weapons or the manpower. But if God so chooses to bless us in the midst of doing this, y'all know what time it is. And look what happened. They don't want to air it. Bro, don't come. Y'all know brothers coming out front and letting you know. I just been waiting on this. I ain't listening to no news. Did they really? Yeah, I knew they was gonna do it. We knew it. We knew it. It ain't over. All of them African nations are getting rid of these presidents that's connected to political parties. That's where the problem comes in. Because if you follow that system, that's what I've been saying. That system is already set in place and it's not guided by law, which God's law connects to everybody. God allows the sun to shine on the good as well as the bad. So as far as politics, get rid of it because you're not going to prosper. Think about it. Yes, replace it with a system of justice. God's law is justice. His word is truth. And you want him in the midst of everything at the forefront before you go do it because we get rid of politics, but you need something that's going to stand. And if you build anything, let it be built on the word. These are God's people, all these people. Now, I don't know about everybody because some people say they came from monkeys. They believe scientists. Poor people, I pray for them. I'm still waiting to see a monkey evolve into a human. Until then, I ain't listening. I don't have nothing to say about science. I don't what they can say what they want to say. I don't follow them. They take their cues from thus saith the Most High. How else would they know about the things that they know unless they studied it? Man don't know that inherently unless he learned. Then once that spirit is set in, you'll hear certain things, like a lot of instruction. I understand instead of there's a law, there are instructions. In spite of what the church telling us, oh, we're under grace. So it's like we use grace for everything. Oh, I'll stop once I get the money so I can be able to do this. Do what you gotta do. What people tell you, you gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta do. No, we gotta come together and how we put money up when somebody get pregnant. What we getting dowries? Well, that was a plan Nipsey had. Bring all entrepreneurs under one roof, a certain amount of them, and each one support each one's project until everybody reaches a certain level where they can maintain on their own. We need that now. What's changed? We're gonna continue to replace that with a system that ain't with no justice. Hell no. That's why it's crumbling. People know better now. They not stupid. You know, you can say what you want to say. Oh, that's all they. Yes, that's the new conversation. Kingdom. Bible has taken over, and people are setting their hearts and minds on the Most High. This is the way we can achieve a system of justice for everybody. It's not gonna work for those who say it ain't gonna work, because they don't believe. They believe what a 501c3 church tell them. They don't believe to go into the book and research and take notes and look these words up to confirm if it's true. Is this man actions in alignment with what he's saying? And is it working? Do we see the fruit? People can say, oh, I don't see no fruit in you. You're a lie. Yes, I have had several jobs, a few jobs in my lifetime. A few. I can count on one hand. It ain't a full hand. So I ain't gonna act like, okay, I tried. I had 2 jobs at Goodyear's while I was going to Lincoln Tech for automotive technology. I was studying automotive technology. That's why I'm so great with cars now. But anyway, and then it was 2 good years that I had a job at Arrow over here. I done had 3 jobs in my lifetime, family. 3. Never again. I don't need them. When I got the education, you got the knowledge. You got sound wisdom that's established on the law that works forever. Heaven and earth gonna pass, but your ability to operate and function and operate as a child of God based on the knowledge of his word and how it works, it applies in all areas of life. In every aspect of your life, there's an instruction to instruct you on how to do A, B, C, and D. That's God's word. You might not look at it as that, but that is an act of worship, and that's actually seeing the fulfillment of the word come to reality. You're transmuting what's coming from eternity. You like the pyramids. Information is stored in there. It brings information coming from where? Eternity. You can receive information from numbers, energy, without written language. Because of the meaning of them. Because of the meaning of them and what they are based on. What they're the foundation of. It goes back and people question. The word, the Hebrew was here before any word. Remember, it was the God of Israel who said, who created the word, then he created the heaven and the earth. You probably asking, where do you get that from? You making up stuff. No, I'm not. I'm looking at the words that are undefined that's written before that. It says, in the beginning. Elohim created it. What's that? Which consists of two Hebrew pictographs. When you look, they don't define it because it says it's not an English word that they can use to describe English words, which lets me know, pay attention to what you got, what's the English language is Germanic. That's German language. The Romans had a Latin language. When Germans, who conquered, the Germans overthrew the Romans. That's who conquered the Romans. They didn't destroy the kingdom, but they overthrew and took control. That's why the Germans rose. That's why you had Hitler doing what he was doing. Yes. That's why they in their descendants. Real talk. These people, that's why they're in power around the world. That's who in power. Saudi Arabia, Mecca, these descendants and the same people in Israel. And some of them over there in Iran, Iraq, them areas, and India and Pakistan. These the areas Israel was shipped to, the northern tribes, that area. Iraq and all that area, you know what I'm saying? Iran, up in there. It's written in the Bible. You read about it. The southern kingdom ran into Africa. All that wasn't taken. All they didn't kill and take into captivity over there in Europe. Romans are Europeans, descendants of the Europeans. Because why? When you look up where these European nations come from, like France, Germany, Britain, Spain, these nations came out of Rome. When the empire was disbanded, it never was destroyed. They colonized it. These nations came out of the birth of Rome, was birthed out of Rome. That's the problem with us, our people. It's nothing personal towards them. No. It's us having lack of fortitude to stand in what we believe in. The zeal is there, but not according to knowledge. A lot of our people have a zeal for Elohim.
Then suddenly the feed returned, grainy, unsteady, live.
Okay, let's see what Africa talking about. This South Africa. We're going to hear from the president. We ain't got to guess. We're going to hear from the president at the Ivory Coast. He's not running again. He's stepping out the way. The military is taking control. You see I'm not thinking negative. I'm looking at what happened in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Chad just stepped up. Then you got Guinea. They on board where they taking control of their land, putting it on the government, and allowing the government to empower their people first. First of all, they got enough people in there where they don't have to look out to corporations and other nations. They can empower themselves through their people first, and then let the others come in. Then let them come in, but allow them to own and operate too, which would turn the tide, turn the spirit. That's the spirit that's on our people, even those that are scattered. We've been over here, and it has never been no rest. We've been at war since we got here, family. A lot of y'all want to act like, oh no, shut up. Because you don't know the damage that's been done, and you don't understand that God is not with them. You thinking because you got a job and you can use some credit that you on top of the world. Let's get out of here. What you gonna do in a few months to come? Are you paying attention to what's going on in Africa so you can invest in Africa's system? It's not gonna fold because of European system fold. It's gonna fold because of look what's happening. Africa ain't playing. Africa is not being your. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no more stepping and fetching. Even the ones that's with that getting ousted. And they letting them know no. And I'm looking at that like this is what people. Why you be watch that? This is what your children need to watch. To see that spirit of their ancestors and they people, our people that's over there in land that can run the world, got it's the land of milk and honey that's being talked about in the Bible. All that other stuff people be to that little old strip of land over there they talking about, them people have to buy things from Africa. So I know that's not the land that God talking about. No, the center of the earth, yes, belongs to Shem. Yes, 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 yes. But think about it, family. That land got a lot of milk and honey. They feed their nations to allow them to rise to the power and limits to where they at now. They don't run everything, but it allowed them, and people go along with it like, do you understand what you're doing? You got to make your own way. You got to come out from them. Because if you attach to that spirit, which the Most High is, they ain't gonna never forget. He say he gonna destroy all of them. Yeah, wherever we were scattered, the people that were scattered into, I don't care what you call them. The God of the Bible said he's gonna wake them up. And if they return and keep his commandments, which is keep his instructions, follow his instruction. Don't follow no camp, don't follow no group, don't follow me. Follow the spirit of the Most High, but yet commune and gather with your people. And you go and testify, giving God glory of, okay, yeah, this word is true. What God said is truth. I tried it. And I have equity with that. I'm not too long on, but I have equity. That's why I explained, okay, I've had 3 jobs in my lifetime. I was explaining that for a reason. To show, okay, you went to school, you got the knowledge, and that's what I've been using to survive. Straight up, all my life. And it's getting better now. I understand power. Power. There's power in knowledge. Knowledge is power. All that credit and debt, that ain't no power, baby. They can shut you off at the flick of a switch. That ain't your power, that's theirs. They're allowing you to use it. So what that means? Oh man, I'm gonna have to re-examine. I have to go and pull my book out for law and business. My law book, yeah. Law and business. I'm like, oh God, let me get this book. Let me get these books out. No, the power is in the decision that you can make. Because without you having faith and believing that what that piece of paper is saying, it ain't gonna work. You have to believe in it. So when people be talking about they don't believe, I don't believe that. I watch them kind of people because first of all, they uncouth, unlearned, and all it takes is 5 minutes to read a book. Begin reading, and you continue on as time goes. But all it takes is 5 minutes. Go get that book, bust that book down, and get some understanding, get some knowledge. When you understand what is operating, we need to know that. Don't deny the truth. The Father left signs and mysteries, but they are proven by the word. And you can see those signs on his people. Don't tell them they ain't the people. Stop. And for the Hebrew, y'all need to start talking about why I'm not a Hebrew no more. Because that's just showing that you didn't believe in the Most High according to his word. You believe whoever that person was that was promoting himself as a leader. They just like the Pope, if you ask me. Like, how do you replace Christ with a man? Are you serious? He don't have what Christ had. Y'all keep telling his daddy. Joseph didn't have what he had. The power he had came from on high. And it was in him. He didn't go to y'all and say, man, oh yeah, he was going to Shabbat and he probably fell off in the temple. But it was during his time he warned our ancestors. They kept asking, you come restore the kingdom? At this time, it's not for me to know. It's not for you. Only the Father knows. But the Father is doing a new thing. Y'all still looking for a building and running to these buildings and whatever they tell you, which is based on a contract. That's not based on God's word. Everything the Christian church talks about, or Muslims, or any of them, all that is based on politics. That's a contract. That's not a covenant. God don't do contracts. Most High do covenants, blood covenants. You know what I'm saying? He do a blood covenant. You ain't getting out of that, buddy. That's for life. So the contracts don't mean nothing. They break them every day. They don't respect humanity and the development of God's people. They take it and talking about they own it. Nigga, what's this Jeff Bezos? How the fuck he able to acquire all that money while you got all these people starving? And y'all celebrate this nigga like he's something. Like, what the fuck? That ain't no nigga to be celebrated. He don't have no love for God and humanity. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all celebrate the wrong stuff and the wrong people. No. We gotta wake up. Stop giving them energy. And all that will soon fade away. Like Africa. Africa ain't giving energy to false democracy. They paying attention. I listen to Troy words. I'm listening to all of them. I'm listening to the words. They speaking words like we speak. Awaken. The Most High. If I'm able to do anything, first I go to the Most High and ask him if it's your will. I'm going to it, Dad. Send your spirit where I know. You're talking about Genesis 49. Who can rouse him up? The Ruach. And if he do go and succeed, we know the Most High was with him. Let me check this out. I know I'm long-winded. I can talk, y'all. All right, y'all. Let's go. Fair use copyright. Let's see what this Ivory Coast president talking about. We heard him say he's stepping down. Let's see what he's talking about. And the military leader of the regime of the company that took him down and put that pressure on it. Put that pressure on your democracy. Put pressure on it, won't stand because it don't stand for the people. I'm telling you firsthand. I'm in America. I don't have nothing against America. I mean the people. I love all people, but your doctrine and philosophies, the Most High raising his children to tear down spiritual wickedness in high places. And your governments allow people to be wicked. Them people ran off in that motherfucker.
There, sitting alone at the desk.
Run off in the Capitol. And look, they done about freed most of them. They done convicted some of them, but this dude trying to free them. Like, y'all giving man all this power and control over you. What you think the Most High gonna say? He's gonna say, I didn't tell you go to them for nothing. I did not tell you none of that. He clearly told you to be fruitful and multiply, subdue the land, and rule over everything. You can't rule nothing following man. Yeah, get the people involved so we can fulfill the cause. But all that, man, stop. Empower them. Because we know Most High puts something in them. And if you empower them by showing them love and being there for them and backing them in righteousness when they moving in right and righteousness, Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom, the king's dominion, which is the king's authority, the king's instruction, which is the king's law. Y'all keep talking about, yes, we understand grace. We thank you. Because it had not been for grace, a lot of us probably be gone. Wouldn't be here to fulfill the purpose that he has given us. We probably would have fell by the wayside long ago. But that's not a ticket for you to just ride. That means to get right up. Not yesterday, right now. Like when I almost got ran over when I had the motorcycle. I feel I got a right to hell up. I didn't wait for the light to turn and people, oh, you all right? I got my ass up. My legs was able to move. Wasn't nothing broke. Go get up and roll. Drove that boy to the curb and parked and went and got me and my lady food and came back home. Told her what happened, looking crazy. Like, what the hell? She probably thought, I'm like, baby, nah, I ain't get beat up. Now, half my knees hadn't been swollen, my feet. She probably thought I got whooped or something. With the knot I had under my eye, I hit my face on that bike. The thing stuck in my face like I almost hit my eye. All praise to the Most High. The Most High was with me. That's what protected me. Them angels do that. I started to walk. Some told me to walk. But I thought I second guessed myself, and that's not good. Always follow your first mind, because that's the spirit of truth that's in you. That's warning you. That's that warning. Follow your first mind, family. Don't think because, oh, I'm a man, I was able to do this and do that. I'm able to overcome that. Oh, that's nothing. No, right now matters. Can't put off what you can do today for tomorrow. It's not gonna work. I'm telling you from a person that has tried it. It don't work. You have to seize the moment and move with within power. No fake, no illusion. You gotta believe that thing and manifest it, bring it to life. It's in you already. Let's see what Africa talking about, y'all.
2016, that I did not wish to run for another presidential term. Consequently, I would like to solemnly announce to you that I have decided not to be a candidate in the presidential election.
It was just after 6 p.m. when every screen in Côte d'Ivoire went dark. No music, no signal, just silence. Then suddenly, the feed returned, grainy, unsteady, live. There, sitting alone at the desk of the national broadcaster RTI, was a man who had ruled for 14 years. No flag behind him, no generals at his side, just a worn-out face and a shaking voice. Alassane Ouattara. He adjusted his collar, looked straight into the lens, then spoke, without emotion. To the people of Côte d'Ivoire, I address you not as your president, but as a citizen of this nation. The air across the country froze. In markets, people stopped mid-transaction. In barracks, soldiers turned up the volume. In homes, families clutched hands. For the sake of national unity and to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, I have taken the decision to resign, effective immediately. No applause, no orchestra, just 5 seconds of silence. Then the sound of a chair scraping the floor as he stood up and walked off screen. Just like that, it was over. The regime that survived protests, elections, rebellions, and international scandals collapsed under the weight of one voice, and not his, because everyone knew it wasn't just pressure. It was a warning, delivered days earlier, from a commander who had never stepped into politics until now. And somewhere in Ouagadougou, far from the cameras, Captain Ibrahim Traoré received a short message from his aide. He did it. It's done. Traoré said nothing. He just closed his notebook and whispered, "The people moved." And that was all it took. The resignation was public, but the rebellion that caused it, that was born in the shadows, behind the walls of military compounds across Côte d'Ivoire. In Bouaké, the grumbling started quietly. A captain's pay was delayed for the 3rd month in a row. A young soldier was discharged for refusing to fire during a peaceful protest, his only crime, saying, "My rifle is not for shooting Ivorians." In Kohogo, an elite unit returned from a mission to find that their families had gone days without water or food rations. Meanwhile, armored cars were being fueled daily, not for defense, but for presidential convoys. The hypocrisy was no longer invisible. It was everywhere, in the mess halls, in the barracks, in the silence that grew heavier each day. But it wasn't anger that spread. It was doubt. Doubt in orders. Doubt in the man at the top. Doubt in whether they were still protecting a republic or just extending the life of a regime. And in that doubt, a new kind of discipline took root. Meetings stopped happening on the record. Briefings became shorter. When orders came from Abidjan, some units simply didn't respond. Others responded late. One platoon answered a direct command with just 2 words: "We're listening." But they weren't listening to Ouattara anymore. In whispered conversations, one name kept surfacing: Commander Kone, not a politician, not a warlord. A mid-ranking officer who had never posted a selfie or chased headlines, but he had something rare: respect. Men trusted him, not because he promised power, but because he didn't fear truth. He never raised his voice. He never called for a coup. He just asked one question over and over: if we stood down today, would the people stand up tomorrow? And in mess halls and dormitories, across every region of the country, the answer began to take shape. A revolution was forming, not from activists, not from militias, but from the very people trained to protect the regime. They weren't preparing for war, they were preparing to stop lying. It wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't even a direct statement, but to those who understood power, it was a warning wrapped in wisdom. 3 days before Ouattara's resignation, a regional security summit was held in Ouagadougou. Cameras were invited, flags from the Sahel Alliance stood tall, and at the center...
That's what I want to hear. No, we never have a desire to plug into that system. Hell no. Started our own, we watched our dad start his own business. We knew there was something different. Then when I was locked up for that time I served, my dad sent me pictures in the 90s when he first opened the tire shop. I'm like, ooh, that's where I'm gonna be. I know why he sent it to me, because I knew then. Oh yeah, I'm at the shop. I'm fixing cars, baby. And shows, and that's what I do. That's what I do. And I thank God, because it made me stronger. Afforded me to create a life, secure lifestyle. It took a while to learn some things, how to unlock it and really use it myself, instead of relying on systems and all that. Hell no, I'm gonna learn it myself so I can master this thing. I'm gonna walk it down, fam.
Wearing his red beret, calm as ever, sat Captain Ibrahim Traoré. He spoke last. The room was quiet. The world watched. Africa is tired of speeches. Africa is tired of puppets. We will no longer kneel before the ghosts of empire. The applause was polite, but it was what he said next, off script, that made the room stop breathing. If leadership forgets the people will remember their strength. And when that strength rises, it doesn't need permission. He never mentioned Ouattara. He didn't have to. In Abidjan, the message was received. Ouattara's intelligence briefed him that the Burkinabe president's words were causing agitation among junior officers. He dismissed it with a wave. Traoré is young, let him talk. But he underestimated something far more powerful than age, credibility, because in the barracks across Côte d'Ivoire, Traoré wasn't just another head of state. He was the symbol of what soldiers could be: honest, unbought, unshaken. His words played on phones in military kitchens. They were copied onto walls in chalk. One lieutenant wrote it on a sheet of paper and taped it inside his locker. The people will remember their strength. And then, something strange happened. At least 4 military bases across Côte d'Ivoire reported that their soldiers had stopped responding to certain internal radio frequencies. But they weren't ignoring everything. They were tuned in to one new private channel, encrypted, foreign, and untraceable. Later, analysts would confirm it originated from a scrambled relay bouncing through Ouagadougou. Whatever Traoré was doing, it wasn't just diplomacy, it was inspiration. And inspiration in the hands of the betrayed is fuel for revolt. While the world watched Traoré speak from Ouagadougou, another man, quiet, unknown, uninvited, was making history of his own. Commander Amadou Kone. Not a politician, not a rebel, just a mid-ranking officer stationed in Abidjan, once loyal to the presidency, now loyal to something deeper, a people. He had no social media, no medals beyond what he'd earned in real combat. But in the mess halls and courtyards of military bases, his name began to spread, not like a shout, but like a secret. Who was he? a son of a cocoa farmer, trained in France but disillusioned. He had seen too much, ministers stealing aid, generals selling weapons, and soldiers being ordered to silence protests with tear gas they could barely afford to load. Kone never raised his fist. He never gave fiery speeches. He just listened, and then he acted. Quietly, he began visiting regional commanders, one by one. At first, just to check in, then to ask a simple question. If the Constitution no longer matters to them, why should our uniforms protect theirs? No threats, no talk of coups, just truth and the unbearable weight of it. The turning point. In late April, Kone called a closed meeting of officers at an undisclosed garrison outside Yamoussoukro. Inside a dimly lit hall, without cameras, he spoke for the first time to more than a dozen ranking commanders. We have served a man who abandoned his people. We have followed orders that betrayed our flag. Today, I ask not for rebellion. I ask for responsibility. Silence. Then, one by one, heads nodded. No announcement was made. No memo distributed. But from that day on, orders from the presidency began to fail. Convoys delayed, communications dropped, and guards who once stood firm at the palace began rotating out and not returning. A shift was happening, not in public view, but beneath the boots that once held the regime up, and at the center of that shift stood Commander Kone. When news of the unfolding tension in Côte d'Ivoire reached Paris, panic didn't break out immediately. It arrived in waves. At first, advisors in the Élysée Palace called it contained unrest. Then, when reports showed loyalist generals not answering calls, it became potential instability. But when they heard that Commander Kone had begun visiting bases without clearance from the presidency, they knew this wasn't instability, it was collapse in slow motion, the call that was never answered. President Emmanuel Macron made a direct attempt to intervene. He picked up the red line, the direct military liaison channel, and tried to reach General Bakari, Ouattara's highest-ranking officer still believed to be loyal. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. A third attempt was rerouted to voicemail. The tone was clinical, cold. "This contact is unavailable. Please leave your message." Macron slammed the receiver. "Get me Ouattara." Within minutes, he was on the line with a man who sounded less like a president and more like a cornered CEO. "Everything is under control," Ouattara insisted. "Just a few misinformed units. We will handle it internally." But Macron wasn't convinced. He knew the signs. He'd seen them before, in Burkina, Mali, Niger. This wasn't just an officer acting out. This was a system beginning to bleed from the inside. The France-Afrique firewall was failing. For decades, France had relied on a simple equation in West Africa: keep the president happy, control the economy, manage the military. But now, the middle link, the army, was breaking. And if the army couldn't be controlled, France had no leverage. One French military attaché stationed in Abidjan reportedly told his colleagues, "We don't have allies here anymore, only names we paid to obey." Inside the French Foreign Ministry, someone whispered a line that would never be printed in any press release. "If Kone speaks for the soldiers, then Ouattara is already finished." It was just before midnight when the envelope arrived. No military escort, no stamp of office. Just a plain white folder slipped beneath the doors of Ouattara's private residence by a soldier in full uniform who never said a word. Inside it was a single sheet of paper. No threats, no accusations, just a sentence. "You have 24 hours to leave with your name intact. After that, you leave with your title in flames." At the bottom, no signature, only 3 words: "We are ready." The president sat in silence. Around him, his usual circle of advisors was gone. Some had vanished. Some had gone on leave. Others had simply stopped answering their phones. His ministers were ghosting him. His generals were ignoring him. Even his own spokesperson had gone quiet on Twitter. And outside, the barracks were no longer loyal. The streets were calm, too calm. No chants, no protests. Everyone was waiting, a lonely man at the top. For years, Ouattara had built a kingdom of concrete and silence. Every critic was dismissed as bitter, every protester called ungrateful. He ruled like a man convinced that the people would never dare touch the crown. But now the crown was cracking and the throne was empty, even while he sat in it. In a private meeting with what remained of his cabinet, one aide dared to ask, "Do you want to go down fighting or walk away before your legacy burns?" Ouattara stared at him, not with anger, not even with regret, just exhaustion. "They didn't beat me," he said. "I just stayed too long." Across town, Commander Kone stood before a group of senior officers, his voice steady. "If he does not resign, we move before the next dawn. No blood, no fire, just closure." And for the first time in modern Ivorian history, the army stood on the edge of removing a sitting president, without a coup, without a bullet, just truth. Everyone was watching the clock, and in Abidjan, the wind changed. The countdown ended at 1 p.m. No presidential anthem, no press conference, no national flag standing behind him, just a man and a microphone. Alassane Ouattara entered the RTI broadcast room, flanked by no one. His face looked hollow, his eyes sunken, the weight of 14 years in power now pressing down on a frame that could no longer carry it. Millions were watching, in homes, on phones, inside military dorms and market stalls. He sat, adjusted the single page in front of him, cleared his throat, and began to speak. "To my fellow Ivorians, for the past decade, I have led this country with conviction, with mistakes, yes, but always with the belief that stability matters." There was no energy in his voice, no defiance, only defeat wrapped in carefully chosen words. But there comes a moment when leadership becomes an obstacle, and if unity is to survive, I must step aside. He paused. His hand trembled slightly. "Therefore, I announce my immediate resignation and transfer all executive duties to the transitional military authority." Silence followed, not applause, not protest, just the quiet breath of a nation in disbelief. He folded the paper, looked directly into the camera, and said, "May Côte d'Ivoire find peace beyond me." Then he stood and walked away. No guards, no procession, no farewell wave. Just the sound of his footsteps on a cold tile floor, and the fall of a regime that ended not with fire, but with surrender. Across the country, people watched in shock. In Yopougon, a group of elders clapped, not in celebration, in closure. In Boaké, a young woman covered her mouth and whispered, "Did that really just happen?" And in a barracks outside Korhogo, a sergeant picked up his rifle, unloaded it, and placed it back on the rack. "We didn't need bullets," he said. "We just needed to believe." Ouattara left the stage, but history had already walked ahead of him. 2 hours after Ouattara's resignation, the nation's screens turned black again. Then, without music or preamble, the camera cut to a military press room, clean, undecorated, and tense. At the center stood a man who had never given a public speech before, Commander Amadou Kone. No stars on his shoulders, no grand medals, just a calm face.
I watched that soldier, brothers and sisters, and let me tell you something. He talked more about God. Now, I don't know him personally, but if God is at the head and you feel you're anointed, you have the evidence, and you know what you praying to him for. I can't say what the Most High said or didn't say to you, because without blowing bullets, and y'all was able to accomplish that, and the nation structure agreed on that, then that's a win, family. Don't worry about what other nations talking about. It ain't none of their business what's going on. And what I see going on is a good thing, because shit, the military doing more better than the politicians. The military getting it done. Politicians screaming and running around talking about people, causing the military say what they think people are doing, what they perceive, because of, it's like they question your greatness. Black men, you gotta wake up. You loyal to the wrong shit. Be loyal to life and allow that life to be extended to everybody. You don't know what's in that man's heart. All you know is what Evidence proves. The fruit of his spirit proves. And you haven't proven what you got on national damn TV and said about that leader over in Burkina Faso. The only conflict is that he's not beholden to a corporate. He's not beholden to rich people. So that's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem in the sense of, okay, them being able to play the game how they've been able to play the game. Bottom line, you gonna play, you gonna pay. It don't matter who you are. And Africa ready. You see, the nation. So it wasn't no shooting or no violence or none of that. I know Malema love that. Like, whoo, I know they over there in Africa celebrating. They able to move an element, and they didn't hurt. I have to continue to say that they didn't hurt this man. It's a good thing, family, because it shows. You got to look at the underlying what the spirit is speaking to, what is expressing. Change, family, and you can change. Africa is got Africa. I'm on fire. I had to make me some. I got me a lemon, a lime, about a quarter with thick of each, and some water and some honey. No sugar, no cream. Oh my God, you tell me it's like my come alive juice. I probably have about 4 cups of these a day. 2 in the morning and two in the evening. One in the evening and one late before I go to bed. And then I like to this is research for clarity because what I'm seeing the Bible come alive. It's prophetic. Because everything about a people and their disparity, you can see it in from Africa to the people that were taken from Africa and scattered. That's biblical. I don't care what you equate it to. I'm telling you the foundation of it. So then you can resort back, get the knowledge on how to come from out of that. Because when the Messiah came, then you have the eternal, meaning, yes, the eternal one now operate. How you said in his tabernacle. His tabernacle was with men. This is the end time. We know he's poured his spirit out on his people and people. He's poured his spirit out on all men. But his handmen and handmaidens, he igniting them. Pay attention to the Hebrew. Even those who say, I'm no longer Hebrew. Family, you making decisions. I haven't heard one person say, I've read the Bible and I made a mistake because I chose to follow the energy that I was reading, but I seen it and thought that's what they were expressing, so I chose to follow them. I didn't choose to follow the spirit that would that's operating. We know it's alive. The Most High is right now. He's not so far from you that you have to tap into somebody to get a message from him. Now you acting like King Saul. Remember, he did that because the Most High was not with him no more. Why? He was with him, but he wasn't protecting him. Because why? He was disobedient. They went in there and were supposed to slaughter and not take nothing. They took spoil and Most High like, what? What? I saw who else? We might as well, the people went in there and they needed, and whatever the story was, you broke the covenant between you and him. You ain't going there for yourself. We move because he. It's not for me. When I start putting it, when I put me ahead of him, that's where the problem comes. That's what I'm working on now, y'all. You gotta reprogram your mind. You've been taught to think that in a certain way that's not conducive to actually developing a strong mental attitude, a strong mental approach, a strong mental understanding. People shun people who actually study and do research and believe what they study and learn, incorporate into life, which people use the principles, what you call principles are laws, But I go straight to the one who established the law. It's only one lawgiver, and he created those and gave him his word so they could do what he did here in heaven. I mean, here in earth, so in heaven as it is on earth, or so in heaven, yeah, or as it is in heaven, so in earth. It begins in heaven first, and heaven dwells in you by the Spirit. Now, let me get back to this because there's a greater at work. Let's don't get caught up in those who are trying to sell a story that's not looking, don't have no understanding of grassroots things. They look at things like, why would they defy our principles? Why would they question? Because your shit ain't right. Your shit stink. Your shit ain't right, and not outright reject it like you reject the 1619 project. Although I might not agree with the ideology of these people, who they follow or whatever religious tenements they subscribe to, I understand what 1619 means, and you do too, all who oppose it. Because the president passed a bill, HR 1242, I'll never forget it. It didn't just honor those Africans that were enslaved and brought here and uses chattel like animals. Took away their rights, family. They didn't have no rights. Nothing under the Constitution was guaranteed. And why people talk, well, you have some people free, well, their ass was unfree for a long time. A long time. While people keep talking about, see how this touches on everything. Well, they don't. They don't need. We don't need to be giving out reparations. We didn't say you did nothing. We said, and y'all do shit. Who don't? Stop lying. Y'all all do shit because you follow the system that did it. You believe in its constitution. First thing you gonna tell a person, and you have certain rights that other people should be afforded, but they don't honor no damn rights. These people take what they want. That's their judge. That's not a system of justice. You can say it's democracy, but shit, we know better, fam. You can't fool us with that shit no more. Judah woke. Yeah. He did what he's supposed to do. Texas is over.
Struggle, we succeed.
There you go, the military
Our
leader.
struggle, we
I want
succeed.
you to hear what he said.
Struggle, we succeed.
Not what I'm saying or anybody else. Let's hear from them. And then we gonna watch what spirit they move in. It had to be a higher power with them. For a president that's been in office, so that means he's entrenched, but people understand, okay, he has a foundation. People see the fruits that come behind what you say and what you do. People be checking. You can come on here and you can have many notes as you want. But if you ain't really about it, we'll know. It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. And I know all of us ain't ordained to be Levites. No. A lot of us are probably descendants of them. being that we are the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. Yeah. Man, people going crazy. And like I said, you got people, you wasn't following. It's the spirit. You wasn't following the Father. You wasn't seeking first the kingdom. You were seeking your group. And your group has a order of instruction. They got instructions on how you should function within the group, right? I was in an organization before. They had laws and policies on how you should function in there. And if you break those laws and policies, there was a disciplinary action behind it, right? That ain't kingdom, family. That's the lust of our flesh, what we want to be a part of, what we thought we, you know, can do good in, irregardless of what the news gonna feed you all day. Like now, all they're gonna do is feed you a bowl of toxicity, an overdose of toxicity. They're not gonna balance it with, okay, this is how we overcome that. They're gonna continue to tell you all the bad all day, but damn, there ain't no good going on in the earth. Well, it ain't no good going on over there. It's good going on over here. I'm glad Africa's changing the narrative. Let's say this general. Our struggle will succeed. That's right.
See, our struggle will succeed because we believe in God. If God is truly real, if God is truly real, I don't believe that we will fail. Because when I made that commitment before God, as I was telling you, within 4 hours, I said, God, what I'm about to do, if the people, if I am truly not in the truth, do not give me the means. If what I want to launch as a military,
the truth. If what I'm in is not the truth, you hear that? Think on. We know there are certain people that's plugged with the Most High. We know that language and what that language means. It's layers to the conversation. You can't just take it at face value. Listen to the words because they coming from a foundation that's kingdom family. We know our people and we watch what you do. I can tell by your spirit. How y'all know y'all woody woody woo? Because we know we Judah, because the words and we know Judah sits in Africa too, and Europe, and Jamaica, Judah probably in Dominican Republic, Haiti, other parts of South Cuba, contrary to a lot of what a lot of people say. If it's coming from where they labeled it of African descent, the Negro, we know who you are. That's a different language. He looked like reminiscent of George Floyd. You look at his face, family. Look at his face structure. He kind of remind me of George Floyd. This brother here, shut up. Check it out.
operation is going to create a situation where there will be a lot of suffering, where we are not on the side of truth. Do not give me the means, because at the time I was asking, I didn't have the means, I didn't have any weapons, I didn't have any money. But God, if what we are going to do is meant to bring justice, peace, and equality among Ivorians, give me the means. And God gave me the means. He wasn't even a man, he wasn't even a friend who gave me the means. That's how I got involved. That's why I said I have no regret. If it hadn't been God's path, I wouldn't have received the means. So, dear parents, dear brothers, dear friends, I wanted to reassure you of one thing, that many things happened in the CNO zone. There were killings, theft, looting, so many things that tarnished the name of the rebellion before my arrest. But know one thing, and I always say this to my younger brothers, when you commit to something, do it with sincerity. Teach the rebellion straight from its original path, that is, the path of protecting the people, has stopped making progress. It came to a halt. It no longer advanced, and it only created more victims. We are withdrawn. And then we say to ourselves, well, we stop doing anything since there were elections, so that people wouldn't say it was IB who was against the elections, that it was IB who didn't want peace. I said, say radio silence. Let's prepare ourselves, because we're not God, we're not invincible. But when you know the truth, when you know the reality on the ground, we were convinced of one thing, that these elections will end in armed conflict. So let's prepare accordingly. And we prepared ourselves. They went ahead with the elections. What was the result? Here we are. And they couldn't find any other solution but to take up arms to attack Abobo and Anyama. And thank God, despite the limited resources we had, with your blessings, we were able to hold out in the resistance. We fought as best we could. We resisted gradually, slowly, and we managed to arm ourselves from them, from our opponents. Because it's true, we were arming ourselves. When they fell into our ambushes, it allowed us to get a few weapons, and that's the will of God. You are God. You cannot achieve what we have achieved. We don't need to beat our chest. That's not true. It's not because we are strong. It's not because we are miraculous. But it's God who made everything happen. We are only simple actors.
Teach, King.
We are servants of the people and servants of God. That's all. And that is our mission. We destabilize the command of the fancy general staff through our resistance. That's the reality. They tried everything. They sent the circus, they sent the VA, they sent the armored battalion, they sent the BASA, they sent the entire coalition. All the commanders we know, we went to school together, we went through military training together, we know them. They sent everything that was considered Ivorian Moses. They couldn't stand up to your children. Thanks to your blessings, thanks to God. I think that's what we need to acknowledge.
Children have a ferocity. Most I say He's gonna raise them.
But
Your children are ruled over you. They ass don't want to get right with.
But that's not the problem. But God.
They ass don't want to get right with the people. The Most High gonna get you out the way. Let that be a lesson to all nations. The youth, especially over here in America, I see our youth. You redirect, and a lot of them being redirected. That's why we put these videos out. And when I bump into them, they tell me, bro, I be listening, that be me on your channel. I be listening. You probably see one person, that's me. That's one of the guys. I'm like, I appreciate that, but it's not me. It's you need to search out the Most High. He's calling you. I'm doing what you feeling as far as pushing, being a conduit. Like brother said, it ain't me. I can't beat my chest for nothing. I'm nobody. If I'm able to do anything, it's His will. So that means the word is true. Teach.
God knows what happened. It's the truth here today. We launched the offensive to free some of our brothers who are at Maka. And from there, we launched the operation on Yopokon the same day, within 24 hours. We cleared out most of Yopokon. Only Yangon was left, but it's not easy. Yopokon is huge. With all Tion, the militiamen. But we did it. Every battle is fought with strategy. You don't just get up with weapons and say, just because you have weapons, that you can throw yourself into the field. That's not how fighting works. It takes study, thought, careful planning, and then you launch operations with everyone's orders, with each command. We knew that the BAU was the strongest of the militias. So, to destabilize the militias, we had to bring down the BAU. It's tactical. You can't just make it up. You can't just beat up at the market. That takes charging. And for 4 hours, under the command of my deputy, the BAE fell with all their weapons.
Them young soldiers, bro.
And we took
Man.
Manka in Yopokon, everything, and we secured Ndokwa. And to our great surprise, around 7 p.m., we hear that a convoy is coming down the highway. No one tells us anything. No one calls me. They tell me, IB, your brothers are catching. Nothing. Because they have heavy weapons. They were armed by other people. They are coming. The enemies told me no, but they called Dewayne. Dewayne called me and said, what should we do? We can't just let them come in. I said, no. Don't give people a reason to say that you are responsible for a blunder. I said, let them come in. I said, I don't think they're coming against us. Because they are not our enemies. If they're coming, maybe they have a mission, but I don't think they're coming against us. Let them come in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get in. If the Ivorian army with all its tanks couldn't get in here, it's not them who are going to get in that way. Honestly. Isn't that the truth? We let them in. They came in with great fanfare, with dozens of folks force mounted with heavy weapons. They headed straight for the Akban camp. They rushed toward the television station. They sat for hours, all night long. And in the morning, they were exhausted, and they hadn't hit a single target. People let them shell tactically, and then they launched a counter-attack against them. It was a rout. They didn't even know how to begin. Some of them came from the villages. They were dressed up and sent here, and they are lost. We load them up onto the highway. They turned back again. We were forced to go on to the commander, to the town hall. There were so many wounded. The hospital was full of injured and dead people. Is it normal to take other people's children and send them to the slaughterhouse? When you arrive in a village, there's a village chief there. At the very least, go and greet him, and then say, well, we've arrived. What can we do together? That's the least you can do. But no. These all-powerful men want to crush us, but they forget that God is behind us, and that you are behind us. Basically, I told my men to pull back. We took the Yokobon side, specifically the area known as Ndokwa, as well as the industrial zone, which is nearby, an important area. We secured that area, as well as our usual areas, our base here, and we went on standby. We started preparing our troops because we knew that what was coming next wouldn't be easy. We rested while preparing our men psychologically, and we left them the field as they came to liberate Abidjan. We left them the field. But where are we today? Thousands of deaths. I can't go on. These are facts. These are facts. They are related. We didn't stop anyone. We didn't drive anyone out of the television station. They didn't take the television station. They told everyone that they took the television station. But the truth always comes out in the end. They didn't take Akban. They said they shelled it, they took Akban. Is Akban still there? Jibabo is still at home, and he can speak. He keeps on saying whatever he wants. I swear to you, if our brothers had consulted us, or if our brothers had given us 48 hours, their relatives, I'm telling you, 48 hours. The operation we launched in Yokubon was tactical. 48 hours, I swear to you, Zimbabwe would no longer be in power today. Our struggle will succeed. Our struggle will succeed because we believe in God. If God is truly real, if God is truly real, I don't believe that we will fail.
Hallelujah.
Because when I made that commitment before God, as I was telling you, within 4 walls, I said, God, what I'm about to do, if I am truly not in the truth, do not give me the means. If what I want to launch as a military operation is going to create a situation where there will be a lot of suffering, where we are not on the side of truth, do not give me the means. Because at the time I was asking, I didn't have the means, I didn't have any weapons, I didn't have any money. But God, if what we are going to do is meant to bring justice, peace, and equality among Ivorians, give me the means. And God gave me the means. He wasn't even a man, he wasn't even a friend who gave me the means. That's how I got involved. That's why I said, I have no regret. If it hadn't been God's path, I wouldn't have received the means. So, dear parents, dear brothers, dear friends, I wanted to reassure you of one thing, that many things happened in the CNO zone. There were killings, theft, looting, so many things that tarnished the name of the rebellion before my arrest. But know one thing, and I always say this to my younger brothers, when you commit to something, do it with sincerity. Teach the rebellion straight from its original path, that is, the path of protecting the people, has stopped making progress. It came to a halt, it no longer advanced, and it only created more victims. We are withdrawn. And then we say to ourselves, well, we stopped doing anything till there were elections, so that people wouldn't say it was IB who was against the elections, that it was IB who didn't want peace. I said, stay radio silent. Let's prepare ourselves, because we're not God, we're not invincible. But when you know the truth, when you know the reality on the ground, we were convinced of one thing, that these elections would end in armed conflict. So let's prepare accordingly. And we prepared ourselves. They went ahead with the elections. What was the result? Here we are. And they couldn't find any other solution but to take up arms to attack Abobo and Anyama. And thank God, despite the limited resources we had, with your blessings, we were able to hold out in the resistance. We fought as best we could. We resisted gradually, slowly, and we managed to arm ourselves from them, from our opponents. Because it's true, we were arming ourselves. When they fell into our ambushes, it allowed us to get the weapons, and that's the will of God. Without God, you cannot achieve what we have achieved. We don't need to beat our chest. That's not true. It's not because we are strong. It's not because we are miraculous. But it's God who made everything happen. We are only simple actors. We are servants of the people and servants of God. That's all. And that is our mission. We destabilize the command of the fancy general staff through our resistance. That's the reality. They tried everything. They sent the secors, they sent the VA, they sent the Armored Battalion, they sent the BASA, they sent the entire coalition. All the commanders we know, we went to school together, we went through military training together, we know them. They sent everything that was considered Ivorian most. They couldn't stand up to your children. Thanks to your blessings, thanks to God. I think that's what we need to acknowledge, instead of telling things that aren't true. But despite that, some people sat down to disparage this great work to say, no, they're nothing, they did nothing. But that's not the problem. But God knows what happened. It's the truth here today. We launched the offensive to free some of our brothers who are at Maka. And from there, we launched the operation on Yopukon the same day, within 24 hours. We cleared out most of Yopukon. Only Yangon was left, but it's not easy. Yopukon is huge, with all Tion, the militiamen. But we did it. Every battle is fought with strategy. You don't just get up with weapons and say, just because you have weapons, that you can throw yourself into the field. That's not how fighting works. It takes study, thought, careful planning, and then launch operations with everyone's orders, with each command. We knew that the BAE was the strongest of the militias. So, to destabilize the militias, we had to bring down the BAE. It's tactical. You can't just make it up. You can't just pick that up at the market. That takes
the same thing.
And for 4 hours, under the command of my deputy, the BAE fell on their weapons. And we took the command camp in Yopokon, everything, and we secured Ndokwa. And to our great surprise, around 7 p.m., we hear that the convoy is coming down the highway. No one tells us anything. No one calls me. They tell me, IB, your brothers are coming on so much. Nothing. Because they have heavy weapons. They were armed by other people. They are coming. The enemy told me no, but they called Kubuwe. Kubuwe called me and said, what should we do? We can't just let them come in. I said, no. Don't give people a reason to say that you are responsible for a blunder. I said, let them come in. I said, I don't think they're coming against us. Because they are not our enemies. If they're coming, maybe they have a mission, but I don't think they're coming against us. Let them come in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get in. If the Ivorian army with all these tanks couldn't get in here, it's not them who are going to get in that way. Honestly. Isn't that the truth? We let them in. They came in with great fanfare, with dozens of folks force mounted with heavy weapons. They headed straight for the art bunker. They marched toward the television station. They stayed for hours, all night long.
Time for the 2 sticks.
And in the morning, they were exhausted, and they hadn't hit a single target. People let them shell tactically, and then they launched a counterattack against them. It was about, they didn't even know that some of them came from the village. They were dressed up and sent here, and they are lost. We let them out onto the highway. They turned back again. We were forced to go on to the commander, to the town hall. There were so many wounded. The hospital was full of injured and dead people. Is it normal to take other people's children and send them to the slaughterhouse? When you arrive in a village, there's a village chief there. At the very least, go and greet him, and then say, well, we've arrived. What can we do together? That's the least you can do. But no. These all-powerful men want to crush us, but they forget that God is behind us, and that you are behind us.
You better tell him, King.
Basically, I told my men to pull back. We took the Yokokon side, specifically the area known as the Dokwa, as well as the industrial zone.
Man, Africa. Let's see y'all do.
It was 4:03 a.m. when everything broke. The city of Abidjan was still asleep, unaware that history was being rewritten.
What you doing, Ibrahim? Ibrahim. And they love Ibrahim over there.
What happens when a 35-year-old African president walks into
All right, y'all. Peace and blessings.
and refuses to
I'm playing by nobody
everyone
rules.
expects him to beg, but he arrives with a proposal that could reshape